Right, hey guys, how are we doing? Back under the video from Annie News, and today we're on another cut content video for Overlord Season 4. First two episodes have been boss. I really liked seeing what was missed out of the first episode when we checked out cut content episode 1. So we're just going to see what was missing in the second episode. We're just going to get straight into it.
180,000. That was the number of people wiped out during Ainz's massacre.
Whoa.
Out of all 260,000 troops who showed up to the battlefield, there was less than 80,000 that ended up...
That's a huge friggin' number.
For a kingdom that once boasted such a powerful military,
and now they ain't got it.
What a crippling blow like that would do to its
That's
society.
huge.
Especially when you consider that many of the casualties were nobles as well.
Oh, mate.
So, as an episode that focuses on the kingdom's recovery, you can expect a lot of scheming due to the chaotic nature of this rebuilding phase. Like, with the whole of noble society being practically uprooted, there's a lot of room for newcomers to make
guy, the balls on him.
Exactly what we're gonna look at here. There's Princess Renner's fairly secretive ambitions,
Ooh,
Philip's
she's
obvious
sneaky.
grasp for power, then Albedo's ploy to take over, well, everything.
Hey, yeah.
Those are the core things that we'll focus on this episode. Episode 41.
Let's go.
Steve's Kingdom. Covering Chapter 2 from Volume 10 of the light novel. Since much of the prologue was stuff that I talked about at the end of last video, we can skip ahead to when Princess Renner is already in the carriage. A scene mostly faithful to how it went in the novels, but slightly rushed to the point that it might have been a bit confusing.
Okay.
When Evil Eye had said that it was only natural for the weak to die, she wasn't talking about the hundreds of thousands that died at war, but instead the orphans that Renner had built the orphanage with.
Oh.
She couldn't understand why Renner would support people who were likely to end up dying
Damn.
anyway. Then, when Renner began to explain why she did, her approach of the strong saving the weak had reminded Clem of his past. It made him think that perhaps these orphanages were being built because of him. Perhaps because she knew what Clem's life was like back then, she wanted to make sure that no one else ended up like him. Clem couldn't know for sure that this was her reasoning, but he did feel pretty confident that that's what it was. Now, the reason Tina found the princess...
She's got some stuff going on, man. She's weird.
The orphanages were actually the optimal way of keeping track of everyone. You see, by gathering all those who were most likely to fall into crime, it was much easier to ensure that they didn't.
Yeah.
The orphanages pretty much prevented evil before it could even take root. Not only making the capital much safer for everyone, but also providing a place for Brain to scout for the next Gazif. Of course, Renner hoped that more skilled people would show up to scout for talent as well, but as a princess so far removed from the noble lineage, the money it would cost to do that wasn't something readily available to her. Like, it wasn't free to hire adventurers to show up like this, and getting them to teach other people techniques certainly wasn't something they'd do for free.
No, they're not going to do it just for nothing, are they?
Skills being passed around for free already started rubbing Tina the wrong way here. As for when it came to scouting them, watching their movements for aptitude was one thing, but determining their affinity for magic was completely different. Even with Evil Eye's superior sense for magical ability, it'd still be difficult to gauge since magic was more internal than external. If we're just scouting for talents though, detecting one of those was much easier. There were various types of magic that could tell if someone possessed a talent or not, some even specifying what that talent was. Once that talent was detected, though, it was getting the person possessing it to express it that was the hard part. Figuring out how to use that talent was a whole separate issue, especially when the talent could just be something trivial. When Evil Eye began to talk about Momo next, we find out that
she really knew it out, didn't she?
From going to him was the commands of her leader. You see, until Gagarin and Tia were back to full strength, Evil Eye was forbidden from making the trip to him. Even if she could just fly there and teleport back, Tina would be sure to let Lacuse know.
Damn.
So, as much as Evil Eye wanted to know why Momon sided with Ainz, she wouldn't be allowed to ask until things were safe for her. Now, once Renner was back at the castle,
nerding
her
over
brother Zanak
Momon.
had rushed to see her to discuss an urgent matter. But before we get to that, he had first given us a rather interesting opinion on Climb. As Renner's personal hand-picked knight, Zanak knew that her choice of him was a special one. There had to be a reason someone so intelligent picked someone so seemingly mediocre. Well, after his survival of both Yaldabaoth and the Sorcerer King, Zanak had come to the conclusion that very few soldiers in the capital were stronger than him.
Oh.
Even among Gazev's hand-picked selection.
Well, you would assume, I suppose, if you didn't know the
the
situations he's been in, you would be like, God,
combine
dude,
his strength with
boss.
Renner's connections to Brain and Lacuse, and Zanak was starting to think that his sister might be planning a coup. I mean, with such a strong selection of warriors at her side, Renner had by far the strongest force out of anyone in the capital. So, that being the case, it was only natural for him to start making alliances with his own adventurers. They may not be the coveted adamantite level, but a few mithrils and orichalcums would certainly be helpful. Now, with regards to his current predicament, too much time was passing without any action being taken. Zenek was currently unsure as to how to approach the Ein situation. That being the case, his best bet right now was to rely on his sister. Surely someone as clever as her would know how to approach this. So, with the main concern being how not to look submissive to the nobles, Renner's idea to give double the gift was practically perfect. You see, because the reward was simply for the Sorcerer Kingdom coming to see them, it wouldn't appear as if it was him making the first move. Instead, it would simply seem like common courtesy. So, with Renner having solved Zenek's problem, Zenek was more than happy to reward her by offering some remote land somewhere.
Just had robot chicken in my head then. If you've seen the scene, you know.
But just like how we saw in the anime, an offer like that wasn't appealing at all.
No, she didn't want that, did she?
Not only that, but apparently the offer had come a bit too late as well. Apparently Renner had already been reached out to with something better.
Oof.
Fast forward to when Zenek was greeting Albedo, and that's when he started to realize just how useful Marquis Raven was. You see, as a man who had taken an interest in adventurers, the Marquis was one of the few who had shared in their knowledge.
Right.
Unlike any other noble who had come before him, he had actually put together a compendium, an enormous collection of knowledge covering all sorts of different monsters and magic. And considering that these were the very two things that Zenek was up against now, he couldn't help but miss the information the Marquis had run away with. Now, when Zenek went to personally meet Albedo himself, the beauty he saw was completely opposite to the monster he was expecting.
Albedo looks amazing in that.
In comparison to Renner, who he previously thought to be peerless, Albedo was by far the more bewitching one. What the anime doesn't quite show us after this, though, is the problem Zenek was immediately confronted with. You see, there was a very specific issue that came with Albedo possessing one name only. When it came to nobility in the kingdom and empire,
interesting.
the number of names you possessed dictated how important you were.
Oh, what? That's interesting.
Only had 2. The nobles had 3 to 4, then the royal family were the select few with 4 to 5.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Determined what standing you were.
And Albedo only had
like
one
Albedo to show up with one name only, Zenek was worried the nobles might make a big deal out of it.
Oh.
I mean, they had even gone so far as to question Jerkniv's nobility, since he only possessed 4 names instead of 5.
What?
Many of the kingdom's nobility didn't believe he was worthy to rule the empire.
That's a really weird thing,
Now,
but that's really interesting. That does throw it.
Was the fact that many of the competent ones were lost in the war. There were very few people left who Zenek had high hopes for. Plus, with many of the new nobles lacking a formal education, the factions formed around them weren't really the smartest either. It was very unlikely they even knew how to interact in political situations like this. That being the case, Zenek couldn't be sure that they'd treat Albedo with the respect she deserved. Thus the reason for him asking this next question. Ideally, he would have liked to ask what her title was directly, but that was a question that made him seem far too ignorant. The most he could get away with right now was a simple inquiry into her position.
Yeah.
That way he could at least have something to compare to, then go back and explain that to the other nobles. When Albedo responded with the captain of the Floor Guardians, though, Zenek had no idea what she meant by that.
Who would? No one has a clue what that means, would they? Unless you were actually part of Nazareth.
A position that could be anything from a duchess to a marquis. Perhaps even prime minister. Now, the last thing that happened during this meeting was a series of apologies for Albedo's non-extravagant greeting, then an interesting request by Albedo to go sightseeing. The reason they couldn't greet Albedo like how they did every other guest was because the kingdom didn't want the public to know that they were coming. It was a natural response considering how many of their people they killed.
They lost a lot, yeah, makes sense.
There wasn't any explained reason for Albedo's sightseeing request, but she did seem quite interested in exploring the area a bit. So, in addition to banquets, concerts, and cocktail parties, Albedo would also take part in diplomatic negotiations and sightseeing.
Interesting. I can't wait to see this kind of stuff going on with Albedo.
Moving on to the banquet now.
Like, it's nice to see her being capable and doing stuff herself. He was weird, man. Like, he just went balls in, just like, let's go!
His spare was certainly a less than desirable one. Had he not been hit with several significant strokes of luck, then it's more than likely the rest of his life would have been spent as a farmer. So, where his life began to turn around was the time when his second brother got sick and died. No longer was he the spare of the spare, but instead next in line behind his first brother now. He could see his life improving from a farmer to a butler now.
And he's pushing it,
Where
man.
Philip
He's
began
going
to
for
consider
it. Don't
himself
blame
the
him.
luckiest in the world, though, was when his first brother went
Balls
to
on him
war
for
and
going to
didn't come
Albedo,
back.
though. It's like,
The
whoa.
perfect safe war his brother went off to improve his reputation and instead left him caught up in Ainz's massacre. So, with no one left to stand in his way, Philip was now sure to inherit everything.
And he's like,
It was
so
a matter
what?
of timing so convenient that Philip actually thought the Sorcerer King had done it for him, resulting in this false sense of closeness to an entity he'd never met before. Now, for a majority of Philip's life, he always saw a better way for his family to make money, but never acted on it since he knew that money would never end up coming his way. Now that he
Right.
was in charge, though,
Interesting.
he was extremely eager to show everyone just how fit he was for the position he lucked into.
That is interesting.
He had a massive pipeline of ideas guaranteed to make
But
himself
he can't
the
benefit
entity
from him,
he
so
wanted.
why share it out?
Initially, those ideas didn't include Albedo, but after seeing just how out of place she looked during the banquet, Philip knew he had to be the first one to talk to her. Since now would likely be the only time she'd be alone, this was the only chance he'd get to seize the opportunity. I mean, it wasn't often that Albedo looked so unsure as to what to do with herself. So, as he counted on his luck to carry him once again, Philip made the move that everyone else was far too scared to do.
To touch his shoulder.
The heated conversation with his father after. While much of this
She
was
hated
pretty
that,
much the
but
same, the key takeaway from it was Philip's naive assumption that he was in control. You see, Philip
He
was
doesn't have a
treating the
clue.
whole thing like it was just a massive nation-scale board game. If everyone else was just a piece on the board, then that meant both Ainz and Albedo were pawns to him. Sure, he did feel an affinity towards Ainz for helping him out, but more than anything, this Sorcerer King was just a pawn to enrich his own position. That was the current mindset Philip had about this. One thing Philip's father did want to make sure of, though, was that even with everything that had happened, he needed to know whether Philip thanked the Count after or not. So long as Philip made an effort to have his position formally recognized, then his father still believed their reputation could be salvaged. Of course, Philip believed the very notion to be ridiculous, but even he wasn't so heartless as to tell his father that he didn't. So instead, Philip just lied and said he did. He had made his father think that their family was still respected within the Count's faction of nobility. If we fast forward to the actual banquet now, Philip couldn't help but think that every noble not to greet him first was a complete idiot. Considering how he was the host and the sole
He's
reason
like, why aren't they not talking to me?
it makes sense why no one was giving him the respect he deserved. What made these nobles so inferior, though, was the very thing that made them perfect to be led by him. Sure, many of them were rather new to the nobility scene, but that just meant that they could easily be molded by him. So, with that issue now resolved, the next to cross Philip's mind was a matter of Hilma. He wanted to know why she looked so frail and skinny. Naturally, this wasn't something that Hilma could talk about, so rather than tell him about her exposure to Nazarick, she instead said that it was due to her dietary habits. Hilma had told him that she just didn't eat any solid food. Philip did inquire as to why, but the moment he did was when Hilma lost her elegance a bit. Just the mere mention of it had drained all her emotion entirely, resulting in Philip to back off a bit. Philip wasn't sure what type of trauma it is she could have gone through, but it was extremely obvious it was something heavy. Something that definitely ruined eating for her. Switching over to the perspective of Hilma now, and that's when we get a bit more context on what she meant by calling this a feeding ground. You see, the aftermath of Ainz's massacre left...
Yeah, I was a bit concerned. I was like, wait, is something going to happen to everyone in here, or...?
New factions were being formed from the remnants. And even if you were a noble who didn't have a faction before, the chaos of now made it your last chance to join one. This was the only time anyone would have the opportunity to realign themselves. So, when a banquet like this comes up, it was the perfect place for the big fish to feed on the little ones. Any first-class noble would easily monopolize on it and absorb the lesser ones into their own faction. The fact that no one was doing so for the hour that Hilma was watching, though, had made her realize that there were no first-class nobles here. Not a single person was someone that she deemed worthy of working with. Now, after a total of 90 minutes had passed, that's when Hilma was called to begin her real job. The true purpose of the banquet, which I'm sure we'll see more of later. Until then, though, the only thing left to talk about is this final scene.
Okay, no spoilers,
sick. A private moment between two rather unlikely acquaintances.
Yeah, what was this about?
The first thing to note is that this was actually one of the four main reasons for Albedo's trip here. The first was to transport supplies.
Right.
The second was to create an excuse to start a war. The third to make arrangements for a personal goal. Then the fourth and final was to make a deal with her. Well, not really so much a deal, but instead give a reward for a job well done. You see, Renner was everything Demiurge had led Albedo to believe she was. Not only had she betrayed her blood and family, but there wasn't a single bit of remorse for the fact that she did.
Oh, wow.
It was as if she was completely unbothered by the concepts of good and evil. Yes,
She does seem very, like,
exactly
unhinged.
what they were, but she had no problem disregarding them the exact same way that Demiurge or Albedo would. So, it's for that very reason that Albedo couldn't consider Renner as a human. She was far too inhuman to even be classified as such. That being the case, Albedo was actually intrigued enough to show concern for her. She was genuinely worried that Renner might not be able to fulfill her goal in time. While all she did have to do was open the box, to actually do so was a challenge of its own. It was a test that, if completed, would grant her everything that she desired. That and a guaranteed position equivalent to that of a domain guardian.
Cool.
But yeah,
Whoa.
that's pretty much everything from Season 4, Episode 2. If you enjoyed what you saw, then be sure to leave a like and let me know in the comments. Now, as always, thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this type of anime content, then you already know what to do. So, until next time.
Ciao. Class. Love it. I love that we've got these cut content videos for a thing we're going to be watching every week. Ah, this is so sick. Love it. It's a shame that it didn't work out for Shield Hero. Shield Hero just didn't, like, I think the views weren't there for the original series anyway, so yeah, it was kind of crap that second season. But Overlord, I'm loving it so far, and I hope it just continues to be awesome. And it's really fun. I mentioned to my friend Steve yesterday. Very nice for him to come and meet me. I mentioned Overlord, and he reads the light levels and everything, and I was like, oh, so I mentioned this, and he's like, it's really interesting. He said like, oh, I'll check these out so I can see, because I read the novels and this to see, you know, be like, yeah, they cut that out. So anyway, thank you to my patrons. If you want to have your name at the end of every video I upload, a link is in the description of the Patreon page. $1 a month is all I ask. Help support the channel. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you guys very much for that. Thank you all for watching. What do you guys think of it? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave comments down below. Let me know what I should watch, discuss in future videos. Don't know what I'm doing, man. I'll see you guys, next time.